Welcome to worship with the Unitarian Universalist Community of Charlotte. I'm Eve Stevens, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm one of the ministers of this congregation, and I bid you Happy Valentine's Day. These flowers are for you, by the way. Valentine's Day likely conjures images of the Greco-Roman god Cupid, joined, of course, by a pantheon of gods and goddesses entwined in fierce and jealous passions toward divine and mortal alike. Out of this cast of celestial characters come epic love stories involving feats of strength, spell-binding beauty, and trips to the underworld to prove one's undying devotion. But what divine representative is there of the enduring and more mundane forms of love? What divine being blesses the devotion shown by making dinner for others on a Monday night? Who celebrates the pleasures of playing online Scrabble with a group of beloved friends? Today, we celebrate love in its more everyday forms. Love built over time, and the simple pleasures that weave our lives together with those we love. Whether you're joining us for the first time or have been a member for years, welcome. It's wonderful to be together this morning. You're invited to head to our public Facebook page to welcome one another in the comments section.
Today's chalice reading is from UU Minister Maureen Killeran. Love is the aspiration, the spirit that moves and inspires this faith we share. Rightly understood, love can nurture our spirits and transform the world.
May the flame of this chalice honor and embody the power and the blessing of the love we need, the love we give, the love we are challenged always to remember and to share.
Hi, welcome again to today's service. I'm Rob Marcy, and I've been a member of this congregation for 14 years. Back in the days when we were meeting in person, my husband Michael and I would try to make a point of saying hello to people we didn't yet know and inviting them back to Freeman Hall for coffee or tea and conversation. Of course, in this virtual format, that's harder to do. Still, I'd like to say welcome to our guests and thank you for spending part of your Valentine's Day with us. If you'd like to learn more about how to engage in the life of this congregation, here are 3 ways in which you can do so. First, take a look at our website, uuccharlotte.org. You can view past services, learn more about our staff, about our programming for children and youth, and so much more. Second, through our website, you can subscribe to our weekly e-newsletter, Currents, for the latest details on opportunities to learn and connect. And finally, you can reach out to our membership coordinator, Kelly Green, to let her know that you're interested in learning more about us. Look for Kelly's comment on our public Facebook page and reply to her that way. Or you can send her an email at Kelly, Kelly, @uuccharlotte.org. I hope you'll reach out and begin to find your place in this loving community. Thank you.
My husband and I started dating our last year of college. We'd caught one another's eye previously, but to our secret mutual delight, senior year, through the twists and turns of fate known as our school's housing lottery, we ended up living in the same building, which meant we started crossing paths almost daily and trying to make small talk wherever we could. Then we ended up in the same class. This gave us the pretense of talking about reading assignments, calling one another up to inquire about the due dates of papers. And about a month in, we started dating. The class was a history course called Lives Against Apartheid. We studied the brutal history of the oppression of Black South Africans and South Africans of Indian origin by a white minority, beginning in the 1600s and tracing the thread slowly forward. We learned about the various resistance groups in the anti-apartheid movement and read the biographies of their courageous leaders. It may have been what was unfolding in my own life at the time, but the assignment that stands out most vividly in my memory from that class is our reading of the love letters between Nelson Mandela and his wife, Winnie Madikizela Mandela. Winnie, who had come into her passion for liberation before meeting her husband, who weathered her own encounters with state violence and imprisonment, who exercised her own powerful form of political leadership, all as a single parent. As Mandela wrote in the letters he sent seemingly every chance he got to write during nearly 3 decades of imprisonment, "My dearest Winnie." There is lofty, radiant language in these letters, swelling sentiment, high romance. In October 1976, he writes, "Whenever I write you, I feel that inside physical warmth that makes me forget all my problems. I become full with love. He writes of desperately missing her enchanting smile and confesses that he has had dreams about her dancing. She writes in return, I still cannot believe that at last I've heard from you, darling. You will notice the very difference in the handwriting, the hypnotizing effect your lovely letters have on my scarred soul. All it needed was its natural drug, after all. These letters contain a more mundane, earthbound kind of exchange between lovers, too. You might think a relationship carried out at such a distance for that many years would slowly fade. There not being enough tangible experiences to bind them to one another as they aged, living longer and longer in separate worlds, having too few memories of one another's touch to see them through. And yet, stubbornly, defiantly, for years anyway, they did somehow manage to share much more of the little intimacies of daily life than I would have imagined was possible. There are inquiries in these letters about rent payments, telephone bills, and what each had for dinner. They share music recommendations, imagining the simple pleasure of holding hands, sitting side by side, listening to a familiar recording, or of reading aloud to one another on a warm afternoon. In these letters, they share tips for weathering anxiety and marvel at the personalities of their daughters. When one of their daughters is sick with bronchitis, Nelson Mandela longs to rock her in his arms, but settles for describing an herbal tea recipe step by step and tenderly imploring his wife to use honey to ease their little one's cough. Of course, read in one light, these letters were profoundly tragic. They brought to mind more absence than presence. All that couldn't be because Nelson and Winnie Mandela were imprisoned and struggling in their various ways, missing the unfolding of their own family life. Still, I was stunned by the warmth and closeness of their language, how comfortable they were with one another, their handwriting creating a shared space that could hold their irritation with and affection for one another all at once, the way their home might have, if not for apartheid. I found these letters quite moving, reading them my last year in college, taking in from the pages this living, breathing romance between two larger-than-life revolutionaries from a time when their love was a resilient weaving together of the passionate and the practical, the fervent and the ordinary. Reading these with the one who would become my future husband filled me with a keen awareness of how fortunate we are as human beings to have the capacity for both passion and mundane love. The other night, I settled in to watch a movie. I'd scrolled through the available genres and settled on romantic comedies, just about my favorite kind of movie, if I'm honest. I chose one I'd never seen before called About Time. It looked like it had just the right balance of silly, predictable, and swoon-worthy moments. The plot did include romantic twists and turns. The main character is captivated by the sparkle and charm of a woman he meets on a chance encounter while out with a friend. In a crowded city, they keep finding their way back to one another until finally the main character musters up the courage to ask her to dinner. The conversation on their date is witty and playful, and suddenly, a montage of get-togethers later, they are head over heels. This part of the movie happens very fast. But what surprised me about the film was that this romance turns out to be a side plot. Instead, the dominant love story of the film is between a father and a son. It's this plot line that unfolds more slowly, not through epic moments of cinematic drama, but through a series of modest scenes. A ping pong game in the basement that starts in high school and picks back up on breaks from college and visits home in working adulthood. Father and son fully engrossed in the game, teasing one another affectionately, conversation flowing more seamlessly while their paddles are in motion. Safe from the worries of the world as long as they're playing this familiar game together. Elsewhere, a scene of the dad watching his son thoughtfully during family meals, catching him in the hallway for a brief word during a holiday party, reading books quietly to themselves in the same room with an easy comfort. Flashbacks to childhood and adolescence show them searching a sunny shoreline together for just the right stones to skip across the water. Love can be epic on the movie screen. Grand gestures and proposals, leaving us with a glowing, expansive, sparkly feeling. But what made this film so moving, so convincing to me, was watching these tender, ordinary moments unfold. Piecing each simple, modest scene together, one by one, until you were left with a sense of the whole. The routine motions and conversations layered one on top of the other, an enduring love that is nothing more than the sum of these unassuming, precious moments. If a filmmaker were to take the raw footage of your life and edit things down into a more concise form, as the camera panned through the years, what scenes would best capture your enduring loves? Surely there would be some pivotal, epic moments that changed the course of things. But likely, too, there'd be scene after scene of the simple little things. Love is lofty and radiant, but constructed layer by layer out of ordinary moments. And some days, dreary days like this, it's good to remember that somewhere inside of us, there's an abundance of these modest scenes, these ordinary moments of loving and being loved that each of us carries around within us, stored away to see us through the winters of our lives. Those Winter Sundays by Robert Hayden. Sundays, too, my father got up early and put his clothes on in the blue-black cold. Then with cracked hands that ached from labor in the weekday weather, made banked fires blaze. No one ever thanked him. I'd wake and hear the cold splintering, breaking. When the rooms were warm, he'd call. And slowly I would rise and dress, fearing the chronic angers of that house, speaking indifferently to him who had driven out the cold and polished my good shoes as well. What did I know? What did I know of love's austere and lonely offices?
You have made my life
Hi everyone, I'm Rob Marcy, and I'm so happy to be here with all of you this Valentine's Day morning to share with you about the simple, ordinary moments I enjoy with my husband Michael and that keep our love enduring. I just mentioned something simple and ordinary. I refer to Michael as my husband. There was a time when I thought I'd never be able to do that. And as a teenager, coming to terms with my sexual orientation, I really didn't think I'd ever experience the ordinary moments that now envelop me in a love deeper than I could have ever imagined. And our lives really are brightened by simple, ordinary things, like setting up a home together, picking out furniture, artwork, kitchen gadgets, exploring new neighborhoods and appreciating their landscapes and their architecture, finding new restaurants, and that special dish that we look forward to going back for. A drive to the beach to walk in the sand and feel the waves splashing on our feet and our ankles. Walks in the park or in our neighborhood with one or a few of our dogs. We have a common love for animals, and we currently share our home with 6 canine and feline companions. I love seeing the joy they bring to Michael's face, how they make him smile, and enjoying times with our friends. We both prefer small, intimate gatherings over large group events, and the laughter and love we share with those close to us bring us even closer to one another. I also love seeing how important my parents have become to him and how special he is to them. He's their second son. And now, after almost 30 years together, we have our memories of shared experiences that we reminisce on with smiles and with laughter. I'm also so thankful that we're able to be here for one another during times of sadness. The passing of a beloved pet, family member, friend, holding and comforting each other with deep love as we move through these sad human moments together. At 16, I never thought my life would be filled with these simple, ordinary moments that others enjoyed. I didn't expect to share my life with someone who would walk with me one day at a time through life's joys and challenges, sharing each day together with a love so unique that I can't find words to describe it. And how cool is it that I get to share this with you this Valentine's Day morning? The younger me would never have expected this to be my reality, and I am so grateful that it is. Our mutual love of our UUCC family is another special part of our lives together. Thank you for welcoming us into your homes this morning.
Good morning. I'm Michael Kelly. My pronouns are he, him, and his. Eve asked my husband Rob and I today to talk a little about the idea of enduring love is the sum of many ordinary moments. Not sure exactly how to do that, so I'm just going to talk a little about some of our ordinary moments. Rob and I have been together over 33 years. We've lived together 32 years, been married since it became legal in Massachusetts in 2004. And we met, it was a men's coming out support group, sort of, I guess. Right after I joined, this guy named Rob joined, and we ended up going out to dinner. And as I was thinking of this topic for today, I just had this wonderful memory of right after that, from then on, after each meeting, I think it was a Tuesday night, we'd end up sitting in one of our cars together, talking and laughing for hours. I mean, and it wasn't an ordinary moment to me. That was a wonderful moment, and it's a wonderful memory. And we've been together since then, and had lots of ordinary moments. It's supporting each other in our joys and holding each other, supporting each other and holding each other in our sorrows, I guess. we are fortunate. We tend to agree on a lot. When we disagree, we are pretty good about like talking it out. The only big fight we've had was we rented a canoe on the Charles River and we just could not get in sync. And Rob and Michael were not a pretty sight that day. So for your ordinary moments, if you're going to rent a canoe with your love, make sure it's a strong relationship. But since then, we've had an ordinary life. We don't have kids. We have our pets. We celebrate when they come into our lives and they bring us a lot of joy. And again, we hold each other in our sorrow when we have to say goodbye. And again, he held me when my parents died, both of them, both times. And his father has had some health issues in the last few years, and I've got what's truly I consider a privilege to be able to drive him, who's really now my father, to his doctor's appointments. And again, supporting each other. The last year, it's been a crazy year. I had a really bad episode this fall of some anxiety, which I get every couple years. And I have to say, like pretty irrational. It was over something that was nothing, but didn't matter to me. He held me while I cried during that period. He kneeled with me and we prayed. And I don't really know who God is, but we prayed to whoever God is. And 2020, it's lots of ordinary moments. We spent it pretty much isolated in the house together, sitting together, maybe watching TV, maybe looking at these things too much. But it was a real joy. At Christmas, total ordinary moment, we watched Hallmark movies, and that was just a fun thing to sit on the couch with him and the dogs. And I can't finish up talking about my relationship being a member of the LGBT community without wanting to speak to young people who may be having trouble coming out. I had a horrible time coming out. I realized at 13 and was pretty much suicidal for at least 7 years, didn't tell a soul. If I could go back, I would tell little Michael, it gets better. I would also sneak into a gift shop that was owned by Rob's family in my hometown and tell Rob, not tell him who I was, but just tell him, hey, it gets better. You're going to meet someone when you're 24. And during a pandemic in 2020, you're going to spend the seasons locked in the house with this guy. And at Christmas, you get to watch Hallmark movies with him. And not only that, there's going to be gay people in that movie, which is pretty amazing to me. And to anyone having trouble coming out today, or everyone else out there, if no one's told you they love you today, happy Valentine's Day, and I love you. Bye.
If I fell in love with you, would you promise to be true and help me understand? 'Cause I've been in love before, and I found that love was more than just holding hands. If I give my heart to you, I must be sure from the very start that you would love me more than her. If I fell in love with you, 1, 2, 3, 4. Love me do. You know I love you. I'll
Members and guests, I hope you'll take a look at our e-newsletter Currents for more opportunities to join upcoming book discussions and virtual game nights, among other things. Members, I shared an update on our member Facebook page that my colleague, our minister, Jay Leach, continues to recover at home after a medical procedure this week. Jay, his wife, Melissa Mummert, and their child, Emerson, have been so touched by the outpouring of love and support you have shown them during this difficult time. We continue to hold them in our communal prayers. And in loving community, we hold in our hearts the family of our member, Barbara Bass, as they mourn her death. We hold in our prayers Steve Bivens as he recovers from surgery. We celebrate with Emily Boone and Hunter Soper as they celebrate the birth of Genevieve Boone Soper. We're sending love to Eric Davis and his family as they mourn the death of Eric's father. We hold in our prayers Megan O'Connor and Brian Jenkins as Megan's father undergoes a medical procedure this week. We're sending love to Belinda Perry and her family in this time of her mother's ongoing health challenges. We hold in our hearts Dia Steiger and her family as she mourns the death of her husband, our member, Paul Steiger. We hold in our prayers Tawana Wilson Allen, Manny Allen, and their family in this time of Tawana's hospitalization. And we're sending love to our children and youth this week as you begin to navigate the process of returning to in-person school. We give thanks for the curiosity, energy, and insight you bring to this community, and we pray for your safety and your well-being.
I'm sitting here in the Memorial Garden of our Unitarian Universalist community of Charlotte, and I have a confession to make. First time Rob and I pulled up here to what was then known as the Unitarian Universalist Church of Charlotte, I thought to myself, probably said aloud, this doesn't look like a church. However, it wasn't a church we were looking for. We were looking for community, a spiritual community. We found that here. What Rob and I spoke a few moments ago about how our love is the sum of many small moments. Same can be said for friendship and community. Again, I found both of those here. Through those small moments, both in this building, out in the greater Charlotte community, I've grown to love each and every one of you. And I'm happy to give as I am able to, through both our pledge and weekly donation to what normally we would do a collection basket. Instead, in a second, you're going to see on your screen a few different ways to donate through portals online, and I invite you to give as you are able. And finally, Rob did the welcome. I just want to add, I look forward to the time we safely can gather here, worship, drink coffee. I look forward to making coffee for you again and seeing you soon. And again, happy Valentine's Day, and I love you.
I invite you into meditation now. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply. With each breath, clear the canvas of your mind until you're left with a blank page, waiting to be filled with color. As you breathe, relax your shoulders and your face. Allow a slight smile to settle there. As you take in the words of this love poem by Marge Piercy, called Colors Passing Through Us. Purple as tulips in May, mauve into lush velvet. Purple as the stain blackberries leave on the lips, on the hands. The purple of ripe grapes, sunlit and warm as flesh. Every day, I will give you a color, like a new flower in a bud vase on your desk. Every day, I will paint you, as women color each other with henna on hands and on feet. Red as henna, as cinnamon, as coals after the fire is banked. The cardinal in the feeder, the roses tumbling on the arbor, their weight bending the wood. The red of the syrup I make from petals. Orange, as the perfumed fruit hanging their globes on the glossy tree, orange as pumpkins in the field, orange as butterfly weed and the monarchs who come to eat it. Orange as my cat running lithe through the high grass. Yellow as a goat's wise and wicked eyes. Yellow as a hill of daffodils. Yellow as dandelions by the highway, yellow as butter and egg yolks. Yellow as a school bus stopping you. Yellow as a slicker in a downpour. Here is my bouquet. Here is a sing-song of all the things you make me think of. Here is oblique praise for the height and depth of you, and the width too. Here is my box of new crayons at your feet. Green as mint jelly. Green as a frog on a lily pad twanging. The green of Cos lettuce, upright, about to bolt into opulent towers. Green as grand chartreuse in a clear glass, green as wine bottles. Blue as cornflowers, delphiniums, bachelor's buttons, blue as Roquefort, blue as Saiga, blue as still water. Blue as the eyes of a Siamese cat. Blue as shadows on new snow, as a spring azure sipping from a puddle on the blacktop. Cobalt as the midnight sky when day has gone without a trace, and we lie in each other's arms, eyes shut and fingers open, and all the colors of the world pass through our bodies like strings of fire. Amen. Happy Valentine's Day. This community holds you with love. Be well and reach out when you need us.